setting high expectations. And you may question, okay, what does that mean, setting high standards? Now, a lot of the time you've heard me talk about busy, happy, good delivery, and that when we're out in schools and we're delivering our sessions and our different activities, we run the football, we run the basketball, we run the gymnastics, and we focus on the activity. What we've done now is really focused on assessment. We've been working on setting standards, we've now looked at assessment, and now we should have a real clear picture of the groups of children we work with. We've got the extracurricular, we've got the curricular, we've got a real clear idea of how the children that you work with them, that's what you should have. You should have those recorded now on the system, on the BMS system, on the school portal, so that all schools and yourself are really, really clear on the levels and expectations of the children and what they're performing at, emergent, expected, exceeded, care plan, where are they active in competence, they're active in health, their learning, their reflection element, and their engagement. So we should have a real clear picture. What I'm going to be talking about with you on January 18th on my webinar, we've got a webinar at 10:30 a.m. on the 18th, is about how to set high expectations. What does that mean? What does that look like? And I'll give you an example. The worst language I hear from activity professionals, whether that's a semi-professional coach of a football club or a junior coach working with an athletics club, is good, well done, brilliant. That was good. That was excellent. Well done. Brilliant. Yeah. When I watch the performance of the child or the individual, it wasn't good. It wasn't brilliant. And what does unlucky mean? You was unlucky. What does that mean? So I'm like, well, why are you saying that? And we're saying it because we don't really know what else to say. Why not say, no, that wasn't good enough. That wasn't right. Because setting high expectations is your job. It's your responsibility to get these children, individuals, participants you're working with, to the next level. Your job is to educate, not entertain. Entertainers belong in a circus. Educate. Set high standards. What's the standard you're going to set? Spring term. What topic are you doing? Gymnastics? Great. Gymnastics, brilliant topic. But gymnastics is about fluency, tension, extension, performance. Why can't you set the expectations that high? You invite the parents in to see a gymnastics performance on stage. How good would that be? Now that is high expectations. It's where you're taking the children. It's not good, it's not well done, it's not brilliant, it's not good enough. This is where we're going. And when they reach that standard you're looking for, that's when we're happy. That is what high expectations are. So I want you to be challenged by that straight away. Are you a good, happy, well done person? Or see things and actually go be critical on so if it's catching a ball and they drop it. Is it catching a ball? Are they fundamental? Are they balanced? Are they coordinated? Are you looking into that detail and really developing these people? That's high.
Is anybody else struggling with the sound? David, have you got the sound there now? Has it been better, or is it still a problem?
Not really. It's a bit jittery.
Okay. Well, it's the sound that's jittery, or is it the video?
The video and the sound for me.
Looking at our skills, on our assessment skills, being critical, looking at what we're trying to achieve, have the objective clear. When you've got that, let's set the standards. Set the appropriate language. Make sure it's clear what you're saying to them. How do we get to that next level? Where are we taking them to? Let's smash through the roof. So I'm really looking forward to working with you on January 18th at 10:30 a.m. It's about high expectations.
tweak with you a little bit. People was finding that hard. Is that better to hear me now? Do you hear me better?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, okay, so apologies about the video. Now, the video was on about then, what sort of challenges do you know, from people that have seen the video, what sort of things, sort of questions or anything in terms of that video? Anybody got anything to raise or bring up when we're talking about setting high expectations? What do I mean by the video?
I think it's kind of like you expect so much from the kids. Like you want them to obviously do their best and make sure that they know that there's no limit to like what they can do. Like I was given a Golden Mile assembly the other day, and I showed a video of one of our Great British athletes, and she's going off to the Olympics this year. And I said that they are starting in the same way that she is, just by practicing, and eventually they'll hopefully get to that standard if they like it.
Yeah, good. So it's giving them something to visualise, to aspire to, or an expectation of, okay, where they're going. Anything else? Anything else on that? Like I said, just unmute yourself or put it in the chat box. What else do we expect? So we need a visual. We need something to aspire to. What else do you think we need?
You touched on assessment as well, Andy. I guess you need to be monitoring their progress, don't you?
Correct. So you need to know where people are at, or what level they're working at, what direction they're going, and you know the most important thing with assessment is how we don't just make a judgment, but how we take them to the next level, and that's what setting standards is all about. Anything else anybody thinks on that? You know, because somebody, the challenge that I had on Facebook was that I was quite critical in that you shouldn't tell children that's not good enough. You know, what's your thoughts around that?
I think if they don't hear it, then they won't want to change anything. If you say, "Oh yeah, it was good, but you know you could do better," then I think that gives them more of an incentive because they want to be praised. So next time, if they do, even if it's so, say they're running a 400-meter track, and then one day they do it in say like 5 or 10 seconds faster than they had before. You say, "Oh, well done. Next time we'll aim for another 10 seconds off of that."
Correct. So it's making sure that people are being, you know, I suppose what I'm referring to is in the video I got on my high horse a little bit and got quite passionate because this is something that I am quite passionate about. In that I am sick and tired of going into sporting activities, whether that be as a performer myself, and you know those who was on the training with me last week will know what I mean, where I've turned up in a football session and I've kicked a ball around for an hour. I've done some crossing and some possession type games, but I've not learned anything. I've not been inspired. I've not really thought, yeah, that was great. That I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to Saturday's game now. I've just passed the ball around for an hour, and it's exactly the same in lessons. You know, I often see lessons where children just do activities, and you'll hear me say in the video about being an entertainer. You know, it's not about being an entertainer. It's about educating them and setting standards and being a role model. And there's something around growth mindset. Is anybody aware of growth mindset and what growth mindset is? I know we did some stuff like last week if you was with me, but what do I mean by growth mindset?
It's just having the mindset that you can go further and to keep persevering.
Yeah. And how do we work on growth mindset? Has anybody thought about that, doing that with the children, or ensuring that what their mindset is like? So there's a book that I encourage a lot of people to read. It's a book by Carol Dweck, and it's called there's a book. It's called Growth Mindset. And there's a study that she does in that there's a group of students that she works with, and there's two groups of students, one of a higher level, one of a lower level, and she basically sets them all a test, and at the end of the test she then offers them an option to take a more difficult test or an easier test. But what she did differently with the high achieving learners, she praised them for the grade they got. Well done, you got a good grade. With the low ability learners, she praised them for their effort and praised them for their hard work and, you know, their perseverance, and what they was focusing, almost focusing on what we call the journey in terms of they was working hard, they was revising, and that's what she praised them for. She didn't praise them for the outcome. She didn't praise them for, well done, you've just got a good score. When they offered the harder test to these two groups of learners, the children that had been praised for the outcome, praised for well done, you got a good score, all took the easier test. The children that was praised for their efforts and praised for the journey, praised for their revision, praised for their practice, praised for their hard work, which test do you think they took?
A more difficult one.
It's a difficult one. And what Carol Dweck does is she really debates about the growth and fixed mindset, and that if you're in a fixed mindset, you know, there's no room for progress. A fixed mindset person focuses on the outcome. And this is very much what happens in a lot of activities that I see in terms of sessions, is they focus on the fix. They focus on the outcome. Well, if I get through my lesson plan and I get through these activities, then that's a success. We don't focus on the process and the journey. And there is a saying is focus on the journey and not the outcome. It's as simple as that. Focus on what's happening in the lesson and what you can do to motivate and inspire the people within the activity consistently to achieve the outcome. Don't just focus on getting your lessons done. And that's what growth mindset is a little bit about. And I'm just going to pull up a YouTube clip again. I'm hoping that the sound works better this time, but we'll see. Let's see if I can find it. There we go. So again, I just want you to watch the video, and I want you to think about what you're taking from this, and compare this now. Compare this growth mindset to the children that you work with and the activities that you do. And I just want you to come back again with any questions or challenges that you might have. Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm just going to share the screen. And I'm hoping it's better this time.
What is a growth mindset? We can liken the theory of growth and fixed mindset to the story of the tortoise and the hare. To have a fixed mindset means to believe that basic abilities, intelligence, and talent are just fixed traits. A growth mindset means that you understand that talent and abilities can be developed through effort, practicing, and persistence. People with a fixed mindset often develop and peak before their peers, appearing to be more intelligent and successful than everyone else. However, this is a dangerous trap to fall into. The moment we believe that success is determined by an ingrained level of ability, we will be brittle in the face of adversity. This is what happens to the hare. The tortoise, however, with a growth mindset, minerals and food for it to grow, just like you do. By continuing to nurture and care for this tree, it can grow taller and stronger than other trees. The trunk and branches will literally explode and grow, just like your brain. Your brain is mindful.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on here, but yeah, I'm just going to carry on. I've just paused the video and I'll recap. I'll just knock it back a few seconds.
He had to train relentlessly to succeed, so must you. Right now, these fixed mindset learners might be ahead of others, but they are afraid of failure. And when they reach the peak that they're comfortable with, they'll just stay there. They will never reach their full potential. Failure is the most essential step to success, and as the growth mindset continues to improve, they will overtake the rest. If you feel like you're in a fixed mindset, don't lose hope because there is a lot we can do to change that. But start by listening to our fixed mindset voice, and when you hear it, talk back with a growth mindset voice. If you hear, I can't do it, add yet. Fixed mindsets can change. So what mindset are you in?
Okay, guys, can you hear me? Everybody hear me okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. So,
Yeah, you're fine.
So, what growth and fixed mindset then? What does it mean? Someone try and sum it up.
It's having that ability to not think that you're going to be stuck at a certain level for a while. Like the growth mindset was more about, okay, that's the level you're at, but you've got so much to work towards, and you can, there's no limit to what you can do. Whereas fixed, you just think, oh, okay, this is the level I'm at. I'm at a good level. I don't need to change.
And that's it. And I think when we're working with young people, it's important that we get them to get into this growth mindset. And the only person that can do that is the person that's delivering the sessions. If we're focusing on the activity in the lessons that we do, so if we're focusing on the dribbling, the passing, the jumping, or if we, one of the lessons I saw, funny enough, yesterday was the learning objective that the activity professional used was to describe the difference between two jumps. And to be fair, all the children could describe the difference between these two types of jumps. What they couldn't do is perform it. And I think PE is about being physical. It's about physical education. It's about doing the best possible thing they can do with the bodies. So it's about being able to perform an element. A lot of the things I often say with children is, okay, well, what does performance mean? How do we do our best performance? And performance comes by being in a growth mindset that we must practice, that we must try our best. And both from now an activity professional's perspective, what are you doing this job for? Are you just doing this because it pays you a bit of money and it's
or are you doing it because you genuinely have a passion about motivating these kids? Sophie won't mind me saying it, but I was with her on Monday, and I just said to her, why she does it, and one of the, well, I can't remember what the conversation was around, but she said, I'm passionate about the children, I'm passionate about my team, I'm passionate about my schools. And that's great. If you've got that set objective of what you want to achieve, and what's difficult with that, and I'm yabbering on a little bit though, but there's a couple of other things just to remember. That is the if and then principle. Anybody heard of the if and then principle?
No.
No? Okay. Well, the if and then principle is very much, if I have a new house, or if I get a new car, or if I get a pay rise, then I will be happy. And the if and then principle is flawed. So if you can think back to 10 years ago, where whatever we was in, and think about, okay, if I had this, I'd be happy. And there's a good chance you've already got that, what you was thinking then. Anybody got that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And you then seem to focus on, well, am I happy? Well, no, because now I want something else that's going to then make me happy. And it's a flawed model. If I have this, then I'm happy. And it's something that, from a growth mindset, you can't focus on. You need to focus on the here and now, and focus on the process, and focus on the journey. And going back to the delivery expectations, you must focus on the journey. You must focus on each individual child in a lesson. Okay, what's the journey they're going on? Where am I taking these? Don't be focusing on the outcome of right, it's a successful lesson if I get through it and the activities run smoothly. Focus on the journey. And the best deliverers are undoubtedly the best planners. So when you come back to your planning, if you're about setting out, make sure your planning is linked to the journey. It's linked to the things you're going to be doing with the children. So I don't know if that's hitting home with people, but growth mindset and really focusing, like I said, focusing on the journey, not the outcome, is about the children achieving. And should you see something, and on a practical level, this is what I mean. So should you be doing a passing lesson today or tomorrow or some point this week, or a gymnastics lesson, and a child does a jump off a box or off an A-frame, and they land and the landing's not controlled, then don't say, oh, well done, good effort. Say, I love your perseverance and I love how hard you just tried to do that, and I could see how hard you was concentrating. However, the landing wasn't quite accurate, and I need you to think about this. If a child passes a ball and they drop it, don't say, oh, unlucky. Say, good effort. Praise the effort. Good effort. However, it's not quite right. What can you do to make that better? So a lot of it is around thinking about where you're taking them, looking at your assessments, so watching children's performance, and then it's almost like a running commentary of what you see in the lesson. But don't just say, good, well done, brilliant. And don't just say, unlucky. I'm going to play one more video. And again, you're just going to have to keep me in the loop on the sound. I'm going to try my best to try and keep the sound. And as you can see from my screen here now, if you go on YouTube, and I love YouTube, I don't know about you guys, but if you go on YouTube and you look at growth mindset, there is absolutely loads and loads and loads of information on there that you can use and pinch. What we can also do, guys, is this is a fantastic video. I don't know if any of you have seen this, but I strongly recommend it. What I'm just going to do now is play with you a video from John Wooden. Anybody heard of John Wooden? Yes, no?
Say that again, Andy. The sound went, sorry.
Has anybody heard of John Wooden? This
Yeah.
on the screen, yeah?
No, I can't say I have.
No? Okay. By the end of this, you're going to research and find out as much.
He's a coach, isn't it? Basketball coach.
He is, yeah. He was the first basketball coach to, or first person to be voted in the Hall of Fame for as both a player and a coach. And undoubtedly one of the best coaches to ever walk this earth. And I'm just going to play you a little video about him. It's literally, it's 17 minutes long, so I might skip through elements of it. But what you need to have here, if you've not got, is you need to have a pen, because he comes out with some unbelievable quotes. And what I want you to just think about now is thinking about yourself, thinking about you as a coach, as an active professional. Think about the standards that you're aspiring to. Where are you going? What's your journey? Think about what you then will do in your sessions, whether that be working with children, whether that be working with football, whatever it is that you do. And I just want you to take his words of wisdom and things. And like I said, if this one is a lot better, if you get a bit more time, there's another video, and I'll post a link up of that at the end, along with a Facebook link. But just take some notes and just kind of, I want you to all kind of identify some things now that you're going to put in place. So this is an action for you. What are you going to put in place following this video blog that is going to raise standards for both you and both the children you work with? So I'm just going to get this going, and let's just double check. Okay, how's the sound? Sound okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Right, let's just try making sure you can all get this. Give me 2 seconds. Okay, guys. Fingers crossed. We're going to get this sound.
I coined my own definition of success in 1934 when I was teaching at a high school in South Bend, Indiana, being a little bit disappointed and delusioned perhaps by the way parents of the youngsters in my English classes expected their youngsters to get an A or B. They thought a C was all right for the neighbor's children because the neighbor's children are all average. But they weren't satisfied with their own and would make the teacher feel that they had failed or the youngster had failed. And that's not right. The good Lord in His infinite wisdom didn't create us all equal as far as intelligence is concerned, any more than we equal as far as size, appearance. Not everybody could earn an A or B. And I didn't like that way of judging it. And I did know how the alumni of various schools back in the 30s judged coaches and athletic teams. If you won them all, you were considered to be reasonably successful. Not completely, because I found out we had a number of years at UCLA where we didn't lose a game, but it seemed that we didn't win each individual game by the margin that some of our alumni had predicted, and quite frequently I really felt that they had backed up their predictions in a more materialistic manner. But I was still back in the 30s, so I understood that. So, but I didn't like it. I didn't agree with it. And I wanted to come up with something that I hope would make me a better teacher and give the youngsters under my supervision, whether it be in athletics or in the English classroom, something to which to aspire other than just a higher mark in the classroom or more points in some athletic contest. And I thought about that for quite a spell. And I wanted to come up with my own definition. I thought that might help. And I knew how Mr. Webster defined it as the accumulation of material possessions Never try to be better than someone else. Always learn from others, and never cease trying to be the best you could be. That's under your control. And if you get too engrossed and involved and concerned in regard to things over which you have no control, it will adversely affect the things over which you have control. Then I ran across a simple verse that said, "At God's footstool to confess, a poor soul knelt and bowed his head. I failed," he cried. The Master said, "Thou didst thy best." That is success. From those things and one other perhaps, I coined my own definition of success. It both be good, but they don't necessarily be the same. Well, that was my idea of what I was going to try to get across to the youngsters. I ran across other things. I love to teach, and it was mentioned by the previous speaker that I enjoy poetry and I dabble in it a bit. There are some things that help me, I think, be better than I would have been. I know I'm not what I ought to be and not what I should be, but I think I'm better than I would have been if I hadn't run across certain things. And one was just a little verse that said, no written word, no spoken plea can teach our youth what they should be. Nor all the books on all the shelves is what the teachers are themselves. That made an impression on me in the 1930s, and I tried to use that more or less in my teaching, whether it be in sports or whether it be in the English classroom. And I love poetry and always had an interest in that, and somehow, and maybe it's because Dad used to read to us at night with a coal oil lamp. We didn't have electricity in our farm home, and Dad would read poetry to us, so I always liked it. And about the same time that I ran across this one verse, I ran across another one that someone asked a lady teacher why she taught, and she, after some time, she said she wanted to think about that, and then she came up and said, "They ask me why I teach, and I reply, where could I find such splendid company? There's such a statesman, strong, unbiased, wise, another later Webster, silver-tongued. A doctor sits beside him whose quick steady hand may mend a bone or stem the lifeblood's flow. And there a builder, upward rise the arch of that church he builds, wherein that minister may speak the word of God and lead a stumbling soul to touch the Christ." And all about a gathering of teachers, farmers, merchants, laborers, those who work and vote and build and plan and pray into a great tomorrow. And I may say, I may not see the church or hear the word or eat the food their hands may grow, but then again I may. And later I may say, I knew him once, and he was weak or strong or bold or proud or gay. I knew him once, but then he was a boy. They ask me why I teach, and I reply, where could I find such splendid company? And I believe the teaching profession, it's true, you have so many youngsters, and I got to think of my youngsters at UCLA, 30-some attorneys, 11 dentists, 10 doctors, many teachers, and other professions. That gives you a great deal of pleasure to see them go on. I always try to make the youngsters feel that they're there to get an education, number one, basketball was second, because it's paying their way. And they do need a little time for social activities, but you let social activities take a little precedence over the other two, and you're not going to have any very long. So that was the ideas that I tried to get across to the youngsters under my supervision. I had 3 rules pretty much that I stuck with practically all the time. I learned these prior to coming to UCLA, and I decided they were very important. One was never be late. Never be late. Later on, I had certain things that I had the players, if we're leaving someone, they had to be neat and clean. There was a time when I made them wear jackets and shirts and ties, and then I saw our chancellor coming to school in denims and turtlenecks, and I thought it was not right for me to keep this other, so I let them they had to be neat and clean. And I had one of my greatest players that you probably heard of, Bill Walton. He came and gets the bus. We were leaving for somewhere and play, and he wasn't clean and neat, so I would let him go. He couldn't get on the bus. He had to go home, and and get cleaned up to get to the airport if you get. So I was a stickler for that. I believed in that. I believe in time, very important. I believe we should be on time, but I thought the practice, for example, we start on time, we close on time. The youngsters didn't have to feel that we're going to keep them over. When I speak at coaching clinics, I often tell young coaches, and the coaching clinics, more or less, they'll be the younger coaches getting in the profession, and most of them are young, you know, and probably newly married. And I tell them, don't run practices late, because you'll go home in a bad mood, and then that's not good for a young married man to go home in a bad mood. When you get older, that'll make a difference. But so I did believe on time. I believe starting on time, and I believe closing on time. And another one I had was not one word of profanity. One word of profanity, and you are out of here for the day. If I see it in a game, you'll probably come out and sit on the bench. And the third one was never criticize a teammate. I didn't want that. I used to tell them I was paid to do that. That's my job. I'm paid to do it. Pitifully poor, but I am paid to do it. Not like the coaches today. For gracious sakes, no. It's a little different than it was in my day. But those are the three things that I stuck with pretty closely all the time. And those actually came from my dad. And that's what he tried to teach me and my brothers at one time. And eventually, that I'm not going to have the time to go on that, but that to help me, I think, become a better teacher. And this is something like this, and I had blocks in the pyramid, and the cornerstones being industrious enthusiasm, working hard, enjoying what you're doing, coming up to the apex, according to my definition of success, and right to the top, faith and patience. And I say to you, whatever you're doing, you must be patient. You have to have patience. We want things to happen to us. We talk about our youth being impatient a lot, and they are. They want to change everything. They think all change is progress. So we get a little older, we're sort of let things go, and we forget that there is no progress without change. So you must have patience, and I believe that we must have faith. I believe that we must believe, really believe, not just give service, believe that things will work out as they should, providing we do what we should. I think our tendency is to hope that things will turn out the way we want them to, so much of the time, but we don't do the things that are necessary to make those things become a reality. I worked on this for some 14 years, and I think it helped me become a better teacher, but it all evolved around that original definition of success. You know, a number of years ago, there was a Major League Baseball umpire by the name of George Moriarty, and he spelled Moriarty with one I. I'd never seen that before, but he did. And big league baseball players, they're very perceptive about those things, and they noticed he had only one I in his name. And you'd be surprised how many also told him that was one more than he had in his head at various times. But he wrote something that I think he did what I tried to do in this pyramid. He called it the road ahead or the road behind. He said, sometimes I think the fates must grin as we denounce them and insist the only reason we can't win is the fates themselves have missed. Yet there lives on the ancient claim, we win or lose within ourselves. The shining trophies on our shelf can never win tomorrow's game. You and I know deeper down, there's always a chance to win the crown. And when we do our best, we simply haven't met the test of giving all and saving none until the game is really won. Of showing what is meant by grit, of playing through another's quip, of playing through not letting up, it's bearing down that wins the cup, of dreaming there's a goal ahead, of hoping when our dreams are dead, of praying when our hopes have fled, yet losing, not afraid to fall. If bravely we have given all, for who can ask more of a man than giving all within his span? Giving all, it seems to me, is not so far from victory. And so the fates are seldom wrong, no matter how they twist and wind. It's you and I who make our fates. We open up or close the gates on the road ahead and the road behind. Reminds me of another set of threes that my dad tried to get across to us. Don't whine, don't complain, don't make excuses. You get out there and whatever you're doing, do it to the best of your ability. No one can do more than that. I tried to get across to, my brothers will tell you, never heard me mention winning. Never mention winning. My idea is that you can lose when you outscore somebody in a game, and you can win when you're outscored. I felt that way on certain occasions at various times. And I just wanted to be able to hold their head up after a game. I used to say that when when a game is over and you see somebody that didn't know the outcome, I hope they couldn't tell by your actions whether you outscored an opponent or the opponent outscored you. And that's what really matters. If you make your effort to do the best you can regularly, the results will be about what they should be. Not necessarily what you'd want them to be, but they'll be about what they should. And only you will know whether you can do that. And that's what I wanted from them more than anything else. And as time went by and I learned more about other things, I think it worked a little better as far as the results. But I wanted the score of a game to be the byproduct of these other things and not the end itself. I believe it was one great philosopher said, it was Cervantes. Cervantes said, the journey is better than the end. And I like that. I think that is. It's getting there. Sometimes when you get there, it's almost a letdown. But it's getting there that's the fun. I like to, as a basketball coach at UCLA, I like our practices to be the journey. And the game would be the end result. I'd like to sit in the stands and watch the players play and see whether I'd done a decent job during the week. There again, it's getting the players to get that self-satisfaction, knowing that they've made the effort to do the best of which they are capable. Sometimes I'm asked who was the best player I had or the best teams. I could never answer that. As far as the individual is concerned, I was asked one time about that, and it said, suppose that you in some way could make the perfect player, what would you want? And I said, well, I'd want one that knew why he was at UCLA, to get an education, that was a good student, that really knew why he was there in the first place. But I want one from the outside. I want to be able to be good inside too. I want to be able to rebound well at both ends too. And why not just take someone like Keith Wilkes and let it go at that? He has the qualifications, and not the only one, but he was one that I used in that particular category because I think he made the effort to become the best of his couple. I mentioned in my book, They Call Me Coach, that two players that gave me great satisfaction and came as close as I think anyone I ever had to reach their full potential. One was Conrad Burke and one was Doug McIntosh. When I saw them as freshmen on our freshman team, we didn't have freshmen, couldn't play varsity, but I taught. And I thought, oh gracious, if these two players, either one of them, they're different years, but I thought about each one at the time you're saying, if he ever makes the varsity, our varsity must be pretty miserable. If he's good enough to make it. And one of them was a starting player for a season and a half, and the other was his next year. He played 32 minutes in the national championship game, did that tremendous for us. And the next year he was a starting player on the national championship team. And here I thought he'd never play a minute. So those are the things that give you great joy and great satisfaction to see what. Neither one of those youngsters could shoot very well, but they had outstanding shooting percentages because they didn't force it. And neither one could jump very well, but they kept good position, and so they did well rebounding. They remembered that every shot was taken, they assumed it'd be missed. Now, they had two men that stand around, wait to see if it's missed, then they go, it's too late. Somebody else is in there ahead of them. They weren't very quick, but they played good position, kept in good balance. And so they played pretty good defense for us. So they had qualities that they came close to, as close to reaching possibly their full potential as any players that I ever had. So I consider them as to be as successful as a Louis Alcindor or a Bill Walton or in many of the others that we had. There were some outstanding players. Have I rambled enough? I was sure that when he makes his appearance, I was supposed to shut up.
So, okay, guys, I don't know. Hopefully, you found that as inspirational as I do when I listen to some of the work that John Wooden did. But the question that I said to you all was to focus on, what from what we've discussed now could you do quite easily that could make you better as an activity professional? What sort of things do you think you could do? Any ideas?
Yeah, I think that's something you mentioned about like all working as a team and not criticizing each other. I think as soon as one person on their team says something about another pupil that isn't necessarily good, the whole team just sort of goes downhill. And it's important, like especially in a game like football or hockey or something, where they all need to work as part of a team in order to get on well and in order to succeed. And as soon it just takes that one negative comment to just send the rest of it all downhill.
And yeah, you're right. And I think thought I had the picture saved. John Wooden has a pyramid. If and it's a really good point that you brought up. If you're going to perform as a team, then what sort of things have you got to consider? What have you got to learn? What children got to learn?
Well, you want a team that's going to be selfless, really, and that they know that if they've got an opportunity that is going to lead to, if it's going to lead to a goal being scored, but they don't necessarily score it, that they're going to take it anyway, that they're going to pass to their teammate who's got the opportunity, rather than try and go against 3 other players in order to get a goal. That you want them to know the opportunities that they've got and which one is going to have the better outcome.
Yeah. I think what I'm trying to get at is this learning. Now, you would have heard me mention before about focusing on, don't focus on activity, but focus on learning. I don't know if can you all see that picture I just brought up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what John Wooden refers to, his pyramid of success. And he's got some really good points and some other points, but all of these things underneath are what children, are what people need to learn. You need to learn these to be a top performer. You need to learn these. And I think some of these that children learn, they can apply. And I think if you look at learning, they can apply it across a range of different things. They can apply it in any range of life. And you hear John speak about, the children that he's worked with. Most of them turned into doctors, teachers, dentists, all sorts of things. And it's the impact that he had on those people through sport that really got them to that point. And these are the things I'm just trying to challenge you with. And possibly I'm taking it a little bit too high, but that's what I do. It's to really set these standards and really focus on what children are doing in the lesson. From your point of view, making sure that some people do this to get more money. Now, if you focus, remember what I said before, if you're focusing, if I get more money, then I'll be happy. If you're focusing on the money rather than the journey and what it is you're learning as an activity professional within this industry, in that you're having to be challenged to do all these sort of things, to be inspirational, to be loyal, to create absolute fantastic opportunities for people, then that's the person that is going to eventually succeed. The people that I want more money tomorrow are the people that tend to go from job to job and end up not making much and what I call living in a rat race. So what I really want you to do, and I think John almost focused on some dead simple things, and these are the things that I take, is tucking your shirts in. So I get all my children when I'm working with them to tuck the shirts in the PKs. I am always 100% presentable. I don't turn up with loads of wristbands on and fancy clothes. And you mentioned about time. Time's absolutely critical. Being early, being organised, making sure the activity finishes on time, making sure that there's time well spent in a lesson that is paceful, that there's good pacing lessons. Lots and lots and lots of things you can get out of this in terms of setting standards And that is my challenge. That's what this is about. It's about setting high expectations. It's no good just to focus on activity. Don't just focus on getting the lessons done. And a lot of what I've talked about today is embedded in our core values. And I suppose the one I'm going to leave you with, guys, is number 4. I hope you all do some research on John Wooden, and number 4 is commit to continual improvement. I hope you're all going to take something away and really think about, okay, am I going to set standards for myself? Am I going to set standards for children? And like I said, hopefully you can be that inspiration, and you can make children live healthy, physical, active lives. And potentially, how many doctors are you going to create, or dentists? So, anyway, any questions, guys, on that? I've yabbed on enough. Hopefully, I've got the message across to you. But any further questions? Hopefully, you found it useful.
Yep, definitely found it useful, Andy. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Any other questions, guys? Dave, you've always usually got a question.
Hello, mate. I was in right in the box. I got a bit of a sore throat.
Right. Right.
Bit of a question. Kind of relates back, not just for this video blog that you've just done, but with regards to setting the expectations high. I know you've been busy this week and last, but I sent you an email regarding some more resources regarding sort of delivering dance. It's not something that, as an area, we're okay at, but we're not brilliant. That expectation isn't the best it can be. And I was just kind of asked a bit of guidance with that, really, just to, rather than kind of muddling through it, kind of just grab it with both hands and attack it.
Dance isn't my specialism. No, I have taught dance. I know that within the people I work with, I've worked with people to do that. The only thing I can do with dance, and I've done some fantastic dance programs, in that is, again, it's to focus on. I'm sorry if I'm boring you, but I'm focus on what you're doing it for. What's the whole point of doing it? First and foremost, you've got to focus on. Okay, well, what's the objective? What's the theme? What are we working on? And with creative movement, which is what I tend to refer to. If you look at creative sports, or you look at creative things such as gymnastics, is a creative sport. If you look at dance, is a creative sport. That there's certain questions you may ask of children. First and foremost, to establish the standard, is how do we win at dance? How do we win at gymnastics? And really getting them to understand, well, it's about performance. It's about doing the best they can do. In terms of activity ideas, in terms of what you deliver, to be the best dancer and to do the best dance performance, then they've got to understand, that movement's got to be fluent, that you've got to move in time, you've got to move to a beat, you've got to perform a range of creative movements. Now, to perform creative movements, you've got to have a stimulus or a stimuli. What do I mean by that?
Is it like kind of like a focus of what we're kind of working with?
Yeah. So being creative is about telling a story. In my words, so in dance, if your theme is about the seasons, is often a popular one, then the children will come up with creative movements linked to autumn. And to do that, the children would, if you was to say, right, give me some movements linked to autumn, then the children would struggle. But if you was to do a lesson around with the children, first and foremost, again, thinking about standards, to say, right, I'd like you to, let's have a walk outside this first part of the lesson, and I want us to kick some leaves around, and I want us to write down as many words as we can linked to autumn. Now what I want you to do is I want you to perform those words in movements, and I want you to be creative, but I want you to think about how do we win. So we win by being fluent, by being balanced, by being controlled, and so on and so on.
Yeah.
So it's getting them to think about, and then through the movement you'll tell the story. So, you know, you will find some relevant music, and again, you will invest that time into the journey. And this is what the best bit is you're going to be creative, you're going to find out some music that's going to be relevant, you're going to spend some time in your planning to deliver the best you can possibly do. But it could be, you know, linked to going on your holidays. So your movements could be, so the music could be something based new, I don't know. But the movements could be about packing our suitcase. It could be then going on our holidays, flying to wherever we're going, and going to the beach and going for a swim. But all the movements, and it's about telling the story through movement. And there's some fantastic ideas out there, some fantastic schemes of work that you can capture, that you can use. But it's about going back to you again, the activity professional, and you setting the standards. And again, I've still got this thing up here of, you know, the enthusiasm, you know, the initiative that you're going to get the children to create, the confidence you're going to give them. Are you going to finish with a dance competition? So there is an objective to what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that helps, Dave, but speak to Frankie. She's the Primary Performing Arts sort of director for that. And there's a lady called Sue Trotman who works with Independent Coach Education that does some fantastic training days for activity professionals that, again, you might find useful.
What's her name, Andy? Sorry?
Sue Trotman.
Sue Trotman.
Through ICE, Independent Coach Education. A guy called Neil Rawlins. Any other questions, guys? Hopefully that's helped, Dave. I don't know if it has or it hasn't.
Yeah, no, really helpful. I think straight away, obviously, we'll look to, you know, even get like a training day in our area, or, you know, something just to help out. You know, definitely helps.
But finding out the themes in schools is critical, and something I've picked up from my review that I've done last week and this week is people aren't using the themes correctly. On the planning framework, you will see in the top left-hand corner that there is an opportunity to input themes. So if I just pull this up for argument's sake, here, and even this is in my area, that's not the theme. What should the theme be?
Like the seasons or whatever that you're just talking about, or animals,
So,
whatever.
I observed an unbelievable lesson a few months back where the activity professional was working with a group of Year 5 children who was learning about World War II. And he was doing invasion games. So in here, he wrote World War II and he had some other little pointers in there. Now, in the lesson, and again, this is about setting standards and really just making it even better than it was before. He's putting things like, you know, Allies versus the Germans. Who was the attacking team? You know, what does invasion mean? And they could relate all this language they were using around the theme of the World War. And when he was going into his session, it just made his session planning so much easier. His lesson planning, it made the flow better. It was common language they were using in the lesson, so it made the teacher happy. So there's lots of things out there that we're writing and doing. And I suppose, again, going back to number 4, commit to continual improvement, is are you doing enough to ensure that you are delivering the best possible sessions you can? Are you being a John Wooden? Or are you just turning up every day? And, I've got Year 5 at 9 o'clock, belting, 5 o'clock, I'll just do this, warm up, main activity, cool down, go home. You've not had an impact on anybody. You've just been an entertainer for an hour. And as harsh and as damning as it sounds, is that person will not go anywhere in this industry. You know, I started off as a glorified cleaner at JJB Soccer Dome at 18 as a semi-pro footballer, and it was a part-time job, and all I did was clean toilets, clean floor, mop, and I did 3 or 4 hours coaching a week. That's where I started, £4 an hour, and all I think I'm passionate about is working with kids because I know I'm good at it, and that's where I started, and that's where I continue to go, and I don't focus on it's about investing in yourself, it's about doing reading, it's about researching, it's about finding out stuff, about setting standards for yourself, and I suppose these are the things I'm trying to get across to you guys. So I'm going to shut up because I'm going to end up talking all afternoon, into the afternoon, should I say. So any other questions, guys?
No, not from me at the moment, Andy, thanks.
No. Well, thanks for your time. Like I said, hopefully you found it useful. We've recorded the session, so we'll post it out there for people to view. So if you want to share any of this with your staff, but like you said, bit of growth mindset, get the book Towels Wet, go and see some stuff on John Wooden, and hopefully you'll be inspired like I was. So yeah, take care, guys, and I'll see you all soon.
All right, thanks a lot.
Right.